Apex is in the top 12 highest earning games on the whole of Steam, yet the whole year its player count has been slowly declining. So let's look at the timeline of Apex in 2024, the good, the bad, and the ugly. January 2024 kicked off with the second half of Season 19, just after Loba killed Revenant in an in-game cinematic, and the first event of the year we got was the Final Fantasy event. And this is probably the worst event Apex ever got because it was kind of patient zero for milestone events, as it was the first milestone event. This event was set to be a big one. It was announced at the Game Awards a month prior with an animation, and people were very excited because it seems we were getting a sword weapon. And we did get that. We got an LTM weapon, which was a sword. We got brand new hop-ups that could be put on a wide selection of weapons, and a few would later be repurposed in the Rift relics. And we also got the introduction of universal heirlooms, death box skins, and milestone events, which are three things people hate to this day and have kind of ruined cosmetics in Apex. Beyond that though, people weren't too mad about the cosmetics because the content in this update was really good, like the LTM sword, which basically gave you the leaked Forge abilities from years ago in sword form. This thing was extremely fun to use, and I'm surprised Respawn managed to balance a sword so well in Apex, considering they'd never released a melee weapon before. Although because this event was a crossover with the Final Fantasy game, a lot of people did complain that Final Fantasy skins in Apex did ruin immersion, which is kind of a silly argument, although the bigger argument was that milestone events, universal heirlooms, and deathbox skins were going to ruin the game if Respawn kept doing them. And lo and behold, they kept doing them, and lo and behold, the game got kind of ruined. So let's keep going on to February the 13th, when the new season released, Breakout. Breakout was a big season because it was an anniversary season celebrating Apex's birthday, and anniversary seasons are always huge, with free rewards and awesome events. And to be fair, Season Breakout ticked these boxes, as they announced at the start of the season, people who completed challenges within the season would receive a recolor of the most popular reactive skin in the game, the Flatline reactive skin, which people were massively excited about. And while they were working towards this weapon by completing challenges, they will get many free rewards on the side, like skins, free gifts, trackers, banner frames, and much more. On top of this, on the same day the season released, we got the Anniversary Collection event, which was very, very solid. The final reward for the collection event was heirloom shards, and it also introduced Straight Shot to the game, which is a very, very beloved mode. So we got good content and also decent cosmetics. On top of all of this, the Breakout season also introduced Legends perks on a whole. This was the first season to have perks. Back onto the anniversary event though, because the way the skins functioned in this event was actually fairly weird and unusual, but I liked it, because basically Respawn recolored an existing skin and then made two skins inspired by the recolored existing skin and then sold them all, which was a very weird concept, but it actually worked. Some of my favorite skins of 2024 came from this event, and the recolors were different enough from the original skins to make you go, okay, that's not so bad. And finally, on top of this, as Respawn always does with anniversary events, we got some community made skins as well. Skins literally made by community members, like this Bloodhound skin, this Ballistic skin, and many more. As well as this tracker, which everybody loves because it counts your career kills, not just your legend kills, but every kill you've got throughout the history of Apex. Although after this anniversary event, this is where it feels like Apex on a whole started to decline in 2024. And it started with this event here. But first, War Thunder is a game you've probably heard of, but did you know it's the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made? And guess what? It happens to be free on PC and consoles, and more recently, iOS and Android. Yes, it's now on mobile. This game has over 2,000 vehicles ranging from the 1920s till today. The game and its vehicles have an insane amount of detail, and combined with the game's realistic graphics, it's a visual treat for anybody interested in war vehicles. This game suits everyone, by the way. If you want an arcade experience, go play the arcade mode. But if you want pure realism, well, guess what? There is a realism mode along with many others. Download War Thunder from the links in the pinned comment and description, and if you sign up with those links, you'll get a massive bonus pack on PC and consoles if you're a new or returning player that hasn't played within the last 6 months. And thank you to the benefactors at War Thunder for the sponsor. So what is this event that kicked off the decline? Well, it's the Inner Beast event, which was basically just totally recolors, and they were the most uninspired recolors ever. They all looked the same and had, quite frankly, a sickly colour scheme. Along with this, the content introduced in the Inner Beast event wasn't the best as well, because we got a new LTM called the Hunt, and basically it's a VIP game mode, where a datapad spawns near every squad, and if a squad picks up a datapad, it will randomly select an enemy squad and mark them on the map, and then you have to go kill the enemy squad. It's a cool idea, but it didn't really change enough in the game to make it particularly interesting. If you bought every single skin in this collection event, you would have got the Octane Heirloom recolor, which wasn't too bad, and it actually had some lore behind it to why the stim in it is purple, and it also introduced new animations for the Octane Heirloom and made it feel smoother overall. So that is honestly a positive. Every time an Heirloom recolor comes out, people always do love the lick of polish Respawn give to the original Heirloom and the recolor. Also, there was this rare animation in the lobby where a Prowler would just come and scare the Marvin. This is where the season's events get majorly bad though, as the third event in season 20 was the Shadow Society event, which was shunned and hated by everybody. Why was it shunned and hated? Well, because it was a milestone event, and it took every aspect of the Final Fantasy milestone event and made it worse. Now Respawn made it so you couldn't straight up buy skins like you could in the Final Fantasy event from the store. No, in the Shadow Society event, the only way to get skins was open an Apex pack and hope the item that dropped is the one you wanted, which would be very unlikely because there's over 30 items in milestone events, so you essentially had to gamble. Also, Respawn removed the free pack you would get at the start of the milestone event and forced you to pay for it. So now if you open the event and went, oh, I really want this ballistic skin, well, good luck. You've probably got to open 20 packs to get it, which would end up costing you hundreds of dollars. The main rewards for this event were the Cobalt Guitar and also the Tax Collector Death Box, which were okay but weren't worth the hundreds of dollars you were to spend obtaining them. And this event did kind of solidify in people's minds that Respawn were going to keep doing this milestone event thing. It wasn't a special event that they pulled out for the Final Fantasy collab. This was going to become a frequent thing, which annoyed a lot of people and started to push them away from Apex because it became a gacha game and a clear money grab, especially because the content in the Shadow Society event didn't match the price tag, as the content was the Lockdown LTM, which would later become permanent in Mixtape. And Lockdown is just essentially Hardpoint from COD, a moving objective which players have to hold. It's fun, but it really didn't feel revolutionary in Apex, and it kind of just felt like a bit of an arcadey mode that took Respawn an afternoon to make. We would get one more event during Season 20 Breakout, which is insane. This season had a lot of events, and this next event was Urban Assault, which luckily was a collection event, which had the Octane Prestige skin as the final reward. For the content, it introduced Apex Rumble, which was basically a leaderboarded temporary ranked mode that activated at the end of the season. Although this came with so many issues, Respawn recently discontinued it and said, we'll bring it back one day if we figure out how to fix it. Also, this event brought back the 3 Strikes LTM from the Post Malone event. The skins were okay, the Octane Prestige skin was okay. That's about it, which sucks. Season 20 was good, but it did kind of solidify in our minds that Respawn were going to go with this milestone event stuff, and it would only get worse. And the more milestone events that came out, the more players that would be alienated from Apex and pushed away, because they feel like they're just cows that get milked by EA for money, and EA really don't care about Apex. The next major content we would get is Season 21 Upheaval, released on the 7th of May 2024, and was pretty controversial because a lot of the content in the update was basically locked behind a massive paywall. The actual content the season launched with was a new legend called Alta. We all know who Alta is and what she does, and also a new Broken Moon update, which was one of the biggest map updates of all time, which was so fun. And also Solos was finally added back to the game, despite Respawn saying it would never come back. And that's it for actual content that released at the start of the season. The rest of the things that came with Season 21 were a new currency called Exotic Shards, which were used in Cobalt Guitar customization, where if you had this universal heirloom from a previous milestone event, or bought it for 150 heirloom shards, you could customize aspects of it with these exotic shards. And the exotic shards cost a lot of money, so this is just a giant money hole and paywall. Also, Respawn released the Reactive Recolor store, where you can buy reactive recolored weapons with exotic shards as well, and none of these reactives are original skins, they're all recolors. For some reason, Respawn is incapable of making new reactive skins for this store. And by the way, did I mention there's no way to get exotic shards for free? You have to straight up buy them or get them through a premium battle pass. And on top of all of this, with the launch of the season, Respawn also released the Void Raider Collection event, which was another milestone event without a major reward. So if you wanted any of these skins, you just had to gamble for them, but there was no chance you would get a cool heirloom or something. You basically just gambled for skins. This event was pure gamble. Funnily enough, because of the laws in Belgium which ban loot boxes and gambling in video games, I got a train to Belgium when this event was active to see how it operated and almost how the store should look, as Belgian people do have the option to straight up buy these skins instead of being forced to gamble for them. So straight off the back of Season 21, people have a bad taste in their mouth because Respawn have released nothing but ways for you to spend your money. Other than that, the season did feel like a fair amount of fresh air. The new map update was fun and Ulta was fun, although she is now one of the least picked legends in the game. Later in the season though, we would get our first collection event, which is, in my opinion, one of the most creative collection events Respawn have done and one I was begging for years. The Double Take collection event. This event did come with some pretty decent content. It got the quads mode officially, so 4 player teams were officially added to Apex, and this was a fun mode while it lasted, although it did result with a few people becoming frustrated with it and just wanting the normal trios and duos back instead of quads in trios. And this event also introduced the Lifeline Prestige skin. The skins in this event were really cool because basically the theme was legends swapping their base skins, so Fuse and Crypto swapped their base skins, Alter and Octane swapped their base skins, Conduit and Revenant swapped their base skins, and the theme was fantastic. It's something I wanted in Apex for so long. And that's about all that released in this event. Honestly, it was a fairly decent event, and it was a collection event, not a milestone event, so people actually bought some of the skins. And also, these new Legend swap skins had their own lore blurb, which was really cool. And these lore blurbs give a whole new backstory to the legends who'd swap skins. So they're given Octane an Alter inspired backstory, or Revenant a Conduit inspired backstory. People liked this event, although the same couldn't be said for the next event in Season 21 and the final event in Season 21. Yes, there were only 2 events this season. This event was the Void Reckoning milestone event. Yes, another milestone event, but the final reward wasn't something cool like a Universal Heirloom. It was instead a reactive recolor. I'm serious. The Void Reckoning event was one of the most disappointing events in Apex history, in my opinion, because there was no real content in this event. The content was the big TDM LTM, which basically just added more players to the Team Deathmatch mode, which wasn't particularly exciting, and they only doubled the players. It seemed very low effort and basically just was made so people weren't complaining that the skins came with no content. Also, Respawn tried to introduce a new system where you could buy the milestone rewards from the milestone event after the event ended, and they hid it in the patch notes so not a lot of people noticed, so a lot of people got mad. And if you're not aware, milestone events got their name from the fact that there's a milestone system where if you own a certain amount of items you get free rewards. So if you own 5 items you might get a banner frame, if you own 10 items you might get a weapon skin, and if you own all 30 items you might get some heirloom shards. But in this specific milestone event, Respawn did put in the patch notes all of the milestone rewards in this event will be buyable in the store after the event ends. Which was good, but it caught a lot of players off guard, and that's probably why Respawn didn't do it again, because it confused a lot of players and annoyed a lot of players who thought they were getting these super exclusive items by spending hundreds of dollars. Around the time this event was active, Respawn also made an announcement. They were going to be reworking the Battle Pass in Apex Legends by splitting it into 2 Battle Passes and removing your ability to buy the Battle Pass with Apex coins, only allowing you to spend actual real cash on it, which annoyed a lot of people because what a lot of people do is buy a Battle Pass with Apex coins, complete the Battle Pass, get the coins back as Battle Pass rewards, and use those coins to buy the next Battle Pass, and go on forever. This allows a lot of people to own pretty much every Battle Pass in the game, while only spending $10 once, and Respawn were trying to remove this feature, so a lot of people got very mad, and this story of how annoyed people were absolutely blew up in the gaming space, to the point where Respawn had to semi-reverse this decision. Not without a huge amount of backlash, but Respawn added back back the ability to buy battle passes with Apex coins and said they were going to do better. So with the anticipated launch of Season 22, which was going to be the Shockwave season, we were still going to be getting a new battle pass system where the battle pass is split into two. And eventually this day rolled around on August the 6th when Season 22 of Apex released, called Shockwave. This season, of course, launched with the battle pass rework, which wasn't too bad, honestly. It did allow real Apex grinders to get more free rewards, but if you weren't playing Apex a lot, you would end up slipping, losing your battle pass progression, and shell out a decent amount of money to catch up. Although a lot of people's focus wasn't the new battle pass, because this season also launched with E-District, which was the brand new map. Finally, we got a city map in Apex, and people were ecstatic. And also, the wait we had between Broken Moon, which was our last map release, and E-District was the longest wait Apex players ever went for a new map. This season also launched with the brand new Akimbo system, which allowed players to use the P2020 and Mozambique's Akimbo, which was also really fun, but also really OP if you used the Mozambiques. Luckily, Respawn nerfed these ones pretty quick. As well, in this update, we got a new hop-up which went on a lot of heavy weapons called the Gun Shield Generator, which basically gave any legends the Gibraltar passive, which was really fun. After the season released, it only took a week for our next event, which was luckily a collection event, and this was the Temporal Chaos collection event, which introduced the Bangalore Heirloom recolor, which of course introduced loads of new Bangalore Heirloom animations, which was a very nice touch of polish to the existing Bangalore Heirloom and gave it a much needed makeover, because the original animations felt a bit jank sometimes. The Temporal Chaos event came with a very weird mode called Straight Shot Revival, which combines two existing modes, Straight Shot and Revival, into one. It worked quite well, but it was the start of Respawn combining modes and just calling it a day, which felt kinda lazy, and almost feels like Respawn have found a way to recolor LTMs. The skins in this event were okay, but honestly, I felt they were all a bit similar. Obviously, collection events follow a theme, but all of these skins felt a bit too much samey, and I feel like modern collection events have that issue. All of the skins feel like they follow the same color scheme, and it makes it quite boring, and makes the variety between the skins, honestly, non-existent. To be fair though, when this event launched, it still felt like the main gimmick of the season was the new map, so people didn't mind too much that the LTM was basically a recolored LTM. The next event would occur a month later, and it was called the Space Hunt Milestone event. For the content in this event contains the Knockout event, which is basically a modified version of BR, where players could respawn at the start of the game and were made to hold certain control points on the map, otherwise they would be knocked out of the game. At the end of the match, all teams that hadn't been knocked out because they weren't playing objective were put into an arena and made to fight to crown the final winner. It was quite interesting, but also quite confusing, although I did enjoy this mode. You had to have a team who actually wanted to play objective though, otherwise you were definitely going to get knocked out and lose. Because this was a milestone event, obviously it contained a universal heirloom, which was the Serpent Sting Dagger, which in my opinion is the weakest universal heirloom yet. First of all, it has literally no customization. Its only customization is this, and it can't be removed from the heirloom once you buy it. And also, it just looks boring in my opinion, and its animations are so bland. This really felt very low effort. And of course, because this event was a milestone event, it cost a lot of money and the skins were definitely not worth it. The skins were once again pretty boring in my opinion, and it's weird because it feels like Respawn can be very creative and make very cool skins, but mostly opt to make very boring skins which all follow the same theme. One cool aspect of all of this was the Serpent Sting had a way of tracking kills. It had 5 triangles on the back of the knife which lit up per kill, so it tracked up to 5 kills. It would be cool if we had a stat track system in the game that attached to your weapons, like we had in Team Fortress 2. Editors note, why did I say Team Fortress 2 instead of Titanfall 2? I'm absolutely cooked. And this shows that the game is somewhat capable of it, but Respawn don't do it for some reason. Yeah, this season revealed that Respawn can do a lot with Apex, but refuse to for no reason. The game's obviously capable of cool heirloom customization, but it's only done on super expensive stuff. The game's obviously capable of tracking your kills in-game and tying them to your weapon, but nothing really cool ever comes of it. It's strange, and it feels like more and more Apex is just coasting on fumes. Respawn are just keeping it going and not innovating, because they don't need to. They earn enough money from universal heirlooms. And that wasn't the final event of the season. No, obviously because this season started on August the 6th and lasted several months, we were going to get a Halloween event, and we got just that with the Techno Terror event. The Techno Terror event was a collection event, which was very cool, but its content wasn't so cool. You see, when Halloween rolls around in Apex, people want one of two things: a new LTM, or the Shadow Royale LTM, where if you die, you turn into a shadow who can wall run and double jump and essentially have pilot movement from Titanfall 2. In the Techno Terror event, we got neither of these. We got technically a new LTM, but it was one of these recolored LTMs, where Respawn smashed together a load of old LTMs to make a new one, which quite frankly shouldn't be classed as a new LTM. Obviously, the LTM was cool, it did bring content technically, but if Respawn weren't going to make a new mode, they should have just brought Shadow Royale back. People love that way more. The main reward for this collection event was a prestige skin, which probably makes you realize something now we're late in the year. Respawn only use collection events for either heirloom recolors or prestige skins now. Legend specific heirlooms aren't added to the game anymore and are most likely scrapped at this point, considering the last one we had was season 18, which, need I remind you, is 5 seasons ago, and universal heirlooms are exclusively sold in milestone events. The skins in this event weren't particularly bad though, because all of the skins were based off horror icons. Like, we got a Jason skin, we got a Pinhead skin, we got a Freddy Krueger skin, and much more. With the LTM that came in this event, we did also get a tiny bit more content with a Halloween variant of E-District, but a lot of people weren't very happy with it and said it didn't live up to the standards that Halloween King's Canyon, Halloween Olympus, and also Halloween World's Edge set. As if you're not aware, these maps got complete overhauls for Halloween. They looked completely different, they had cool new features like ghosts around the map or giant lizards that shot flames out their mouth, while the E-District Halloween variant basically just got some wires around the map and a new skybox. Nothing new at all, really. This Halloween event felt like a punch to the gut and basically felt like half the Halloween event previous ones were, and fans were screaming at Respawn to stop doing this weird LTM recolor stuff. Either make a new one or bring an old one back. And then we end up at the end of the year and the final season of the year, From the Rift. And the launch of this season was pretty strange because Respawn didn't do their traditional thing where they released trailers weeks before the season release. No, instead they released the gameplay trailer 2 hours before the season came out, and then just let everybody play. Respawn said they did this to recreate the surprise launch of Apex, considering the first few days of season 23 From the Rift were basically trying to recreate Apex's OG days, with the OG load screens, the OG lobby, and the OG mode. This was extremely fun and great nostalgia, and unfortunately it didn't last very long. I kind of wished it would last a bit longer, but Respawn were quick to remove the OG mode, then bringing us into the actual season where the main content shined, the Rift relics, where Respawn promised the EPG rifle would be in these things, but upon examination, the EPG wasn't there. It turned out it was slated to release a month later, in December, despite Respawn advertising the EPG like it was going to release with the season, which basically left the season with not much new content to play with once the OG mode had ended. The only new content we really got that we could actually play with was the Lifeline rework, and that was it, unless you count the 2-month-long milestone event that released with the season, which I haven't mentioned yet because honestly I'm tired and it brought nothing. It just brought a karambit to the game. Of course, week by week we were getting new Rift relics, but to call this new season content is a bit sad because it's basically guns slightly modified. People in R5 Reloaded do this on the daily. This season had a really awesome intro and a really cool start, but it was very mismanaged. If I were to manage this season, I would have made the OG season last a bit longer and then add OG arenas to the game, and when the OG arenas LTM ends, add arenas back with some new updates and try to re-implement it as a permanent mode, as a lot of people really want arenas back. But alas, this season lost a lot of its steam after the OG mode ended because there was literally no new content to play with besides Lifeline Reborn. A few weeks later, on December the 17th, we would get the Winter's Haunt milestone event, which was the first milestone event with an heirloom recolor as the main reward, which may be a sign Respawn are moving away from collection events entirely. As you may remember, I previously said Respawn only use collection events for heirloom recolors and prestige skins now. But if Respawn are moving heirloom recolors into milestone events, are they just going to cancel collection events overall? Although in this milestone event, Respawn did add some extra rewards, adding heirloom shards as one of the milestone rewards. Although it's still bad and I still severely disagree with milestone events. And this seems to be the last update of 2024. 2024 was the year where Apex suffered its biggest decline ever and had some of the most predatory and horrible features added to it. EA has admitted the game isn't earning as much money as they want it to, and some of the monetary things Respawn have added, like the new Battle Pass system, didn't earn as much money as expected. And it's got that bad, EA said they need to make systematic changes on Apex to fix it. Apex's future is foggy at the minute. Big people are quitting, nobody's interested in it, the player count's going down. What's going to happen in the future is completely up to EA, and if they decide to sink this ship or actually try to fix it. And once again, let me remind you, thank you to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. And once again, you can get this game from the link in the description and pinned comment, and if you're a new player or a returning player who hasn't played in 6 months, you can get all of these bonuses like 100,000 Silver Lions, 7 days of premium access, and premium vehicles.